It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
I noticed the lights were on and I thought you might be home. I wasn't sure.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on kind of a cloudy and overcast Monday in Nashville, Tennessee. Let me tell you a little bit about the way the show is going to go. Yes, in a moment, Terry McCormick will join us. No, we're not going to get into all the Vrabel stuff at that moment. At 2:30, oh yeah, Terry McCormick, Kelly Holcomb, Watson Brown will all join me to discuss it. Here's what I will tell you. If you go back to when Rand Carthon was hired, and remember you kept hearing the word collaboration, this just in. There's been none. Everything you've been hearing about, there's a rift between them, it's true. We're going to talk about it at 2:30, knee deep. I guess that's one way to get it started.
Here we go.
Hello, Billy.
Hello.
Yes. Okay, Terry McCormick's Daily Titans collaboration is brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. And with interest rates going down, now might be the time to talk to her. 615-969-4350.
You know, George, I heard some rumors that you and Terry weren't collaborating very well. Were those early on in the season?
Hold on a second. Terry and I have worked together, what, Terry, 25 years, 30?
Something like that, yeah,
Something
probably
like
25
that.
years.
That's collaboration.
So Terry's staying here on the Plaster Show. He's not going anywhere.
Wow. Where'd that come from,
I'm
Terry?
kidding.
Are you negotiating?
I had my agent put it out there.
Are you negotiating for him or against him?
I'm just trying to figure this out.
Right. Collaboration is the key word. And in Titan Central, there hadn't been any. So how was the injury situation yesterday? Not that anybody really cares.
Yeah, and I think most everybody made it out of the game pretty healthy. Everybody that was injured wasn't involved in the game at all. Will Levis did tell us today that he feels like, he'll be back, pretty healthy here fairly soon and ready to take a little break and then begin the off season. And he certainly is one who said that, as most players did, that he is hoping that Mike Vrabel sticks around here in Tennessee because as a young quarterback, you certainly don't want continuity to be disrupted. I think, that was one of the issues that happened with a couple of guys that they had in Jake Locker and Marcus Mariota. Maybe part of the reason why those guys didn't pan out was because they kept having different offensive coordinators, different head coaches, and pretty soon the message probably got a little garbled.
Terry, I brought up last week that I don't want to hear all this crap about Derrick Henry's lost a step. I don't want to sound like his agent, but damn, if he's lost a step, I'd like to lose that same step.
Yeah, Derrick Henry still has it. I mean, I don't think there was any real doubt about that. This offensive line was atrocious this year, but at least they got the job done well enough to send him off in good fashion, if that is indeed the case. And I'm kind of leaning toward believing that Derrick's going to be elsewhere next year. He said as much yesterday in that he wants to win a Super Bowl, wants to have a chance to win a Super Bowl. And when you look at the disarray that the Titans are in right now, I don't see a Super Bowl on the horizon anytime soon.
No, it's dumpster central. Although it was a really good win yesterday to knock Jacksonville out. Let's go back to Derrick Henry. Did you come away from yesterday believing that this is totally his decision, or have the Titans told him, look, we're just going to let you know we're not bringing you back, so you're free to do whatever?
Didn't really get a strong indication one way or the other, but I kind of think that it may be a little bit mutual. I think, the Titans have got to get younger. They've got to get more dynamic, explosive playmakers. Not that Henry isn't, but they need help at receiver. They need versatility in the backfield, which I was also impressed with Tajay Spears yesterday. I thought he had his best game of the year. And I think Derek can kind of read the writing on the wall that the Titans are going to get younger. They're going to rebuild. They're going to go a different direction, maybe even philosophically. Heck, they may even have a new coaching staff by the time we get done with this show, George. Who knows? But in terms of Derek, I think, he knows that he's got a lot left in the tank, and there should be an opportunity for him somewhere, even if it's not in a starring role, to have a chance to make a deep postseason run in 2024.
Okay, anything else that you want to leave us with?
Well, I'll just rejoin you, and we'll start hashing out the Vrabel stuff here in about 20 minutes.
Yes, the stuff. Okay, if you will, be on back ready about 2:25.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. Give her a holler at 615-969-4350. Let's go to Murfreesboro. Say hello to Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, how are you?
I'm great, George. How you doing?
Good.
You're looking nice and spiffy.
Let's move quick.
All
Thank
right.
you. Well, I'm thrilled that you approve. It's so seldom. Billy.
George.
Kelly appears to be in a good mood, so
he does.
Let's make it a quick update. Who's gotten – no, not always. Who's gotten fired? Who hasn't gotten fired?
Ron Rivera has been let go in Washington. The Falcons have let go of Arthur Smith. And the Panthers fired GM Scott Fitterer after the 2-15 season.
And right now, that's it today.
Yeah, so far.
Okay. And we have a national title game tonight.
We do. Well, Bill Belichick also, he's still under contract, but he said he's open to a change with a personnel role.
We're on to Cincinnati.
So I love this time of year because
we're on to Cincinnati.
It's just there's so much speculation out there.
We're on to Cincinnati.
Oh, there's Harbaugh has interest in LA or Las Vegas. Well, no, duh. I mean, I'm sick of all these vague reports.
Well, deal with it. It's the business you're trying to get in. So
exactly.
Enjoy. Anything else?
Yeah, college football playoff tonight, championship tonight. Washington, Michigan. Michigan now a 5.5-point favorite.
Yeah.
So not sure what changed. Although it was at 4.5. Now it's up to 5.5. So
okay,
that's what I got.
Oh, we've got plenty. After the break, Watson Brown's Titans analysis with a huge assist from Kelly Holcomb. It will be the quickest update analysis-wise that we have had all year. Who cares? The good stuff around 2:25, 2:30, where we're going to go knee-deep into everything we have learned over the last 36 hours, which tells me something's going on. Not a lot of collaboration. Stay tuned. We're coming back.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donley Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Okay, let's get to the business at hand, which is the Titans' victory yesterday over Jacksonville, which knocks the Jaguars completely out of the playoffs. Guys, whatever goes on at the end of Mike Vrabel, and by the way, let's say hello to Watson Brown, who joins us by phone. Watson, how are you?
Good, George. Guys, everybody okay?
Doing good.
Good.
So the postmortems of whatever is going to go on between now and Thursday or Friday, the one thing that Vrabel will have in his corner is, to the very end, about 98% of the time, his players played really hard for him.
Yeah, that's not been an issue to me. It's George, you and I've been doing this nearly 4 years, doing an analyst every week with the Titans, and I don't know any time in Mike's time, I bet we didn't say twice through all that time that they didn't look like they were into it tonight. So, no, that's not been a problem, was not a problem Sunday whatsoever.
Kelly, were you surprised at the level of zip they brought to the table against the Jags?
No, I really wasn't, because you kind of, he just like Watson just said. I mean, it's kind of his MO. I mean, those guys play hard for him, and it's funny how the National Football League is, George. Because I was talking to Marcus Pollard. We've had him on the show before, and he's the player development guy for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have everything to play for. They're playing for a playoff spot. Now, obviously, Trevor Lawrence was injured. He didn't look good. But he just, he texts me and he's like, I just don't understand. I don't understand. They have everything to play for. You've got a team that is in Nashville that's playing for nothing. They're 5-11. They know they're not going to the playoffs, but they played really good. They played with a lot of zeal yesterday, a lot of zip. They were moving around. They were striking people. They were blocking. Derrick Henry was running the football. Ryan Tannehill was making things happen. He was managing the game. They looked really good. They looked like the team that had a chance to go to the playoffs other than the Jacksonville Jaguars. So no, it did not surprise me because that's what he's always done.
The play that we're about to show you, I hope once and for all, stops all the BS about, Derrick Henry's lost a step. Really? I'd like to lose a step and be that. That sure as hell doesn't look like a guy who's lost a step to me. Silence on the other end. Kelly, start that one.
I didn't know who you wanted to talk.
No, I know it. I didn't do a very good job there. Watson, go ahead and start then.
Well, the Titans under Mike Vrabel, when they run the ball well, they're good. When they don't, they're not. And because everything, defense, passing game, they've got to have a good punter in their style, and they always do till we hurt maybe the best punter in the league. But it's just a Mike game, and the only way Jacksonville can lose that game is to let them run the ball. And they hadn't been able to run the ball in the last month. And yet they did, and they lined up and played them in the first half. They did crowd the box, George, but they played technique. And they were undisciplined in their technique. Every one of those big runs, there were 3 of them by Derrick. You look at them all close. There's a guy with his hat in the gap like he's supposed to be. Then he flips his hat to the other gap, puts 2 guys in the same gap. Derrick, being the good player that he is, an experienced player that he is, sees 2 hats in a gap, steps to the other gap, and there's nothing there. And he just takes off with the ball. It happened 3 times. Finally, in late third quarter, after we scored the first drive of the second half, late third quarter, they started taking some gaps, penetrating and doing things that have hurt the Titans all year long. But defensively, they gave themselves no chance. You line up, just play them and play technique. And Kelly, you'll know what I'm talking about. You play technique and you don't play it proper, and you don't take your gap and you're undisciplined enough to think you can jump in another gap and make a play, it's going to kill you. And you're dead right, George. When he got loose, there ain't nobody. Still to this day, he's 30 years old. There's nobody in the secondary wants to tackle that dude. They disappear, man. When he gets loose going full steam in the secondary, they fall down, they stumble, they want no part of him. And I expected to see the stiff arm on the one that took him down to the goal line on one of the runs, and he didn't use it. But I thought he'd stiff arm that guy and waltz into the end zone. But no, Derrick's still got it. He's going to be a good player for somebody. I don't think the Titans will pay the money to keep him, and I hope Derrick gets every penny he can get because I've not seen Derrick Henry. We want to talk about Mike Vrabel. I haven't seen Derrick Henry come out and not play with everything every week. I haven't seen that ever in him. And he did it again Saturday, and I think he had something to prove Saturday, and he wanted to give something to the Nashville people before he left. And I think that picture of him and Ryan standing in the tunnel together, I'm sure you all saw it, and they wanted to go out on the field together. Now, that's a special picture that the Titans ought to keep forever and have it hanging somewhere.
Kelly, on the Jacksonville side, admittedly, I'm biased. I would have liked to have seen C.J. Beathard from BG chance to play in front of the home folks. But Trevor Lawrence, should he have played?
I mean, he's their guy. He's their number 1 quarterback, and if he can play, I mean, that was the biggest game of the year. They had an opportunity to go. I don't think he practiced all week, from what I understand. Just talking to some people, I don't think he practiced. So he was obviously a little rusty. There was that second interception that he threw. I don't know where he was throwing the ball. I mean, it looked like, I guess they were mixed up because it looked like he was running a curl he was throwing a curl, and then his receiver was running we used to call it a stop route, where you would go down the field and you would retrace your steps and go backwards. Well, he thought he was curling back to him, and he went down the line, and I don't know where he was throwing that ball. So he didn't look very good, but like, he's your number one guy. So obviously Doug Peterson thought that he was ready to play and that he gave them the best opportunity to win, or they wouldn't have stuck him out there. But he didn't look good yesterday, but that's like me. I mean, coach will tell you this, if your number one guy says he's ready to go, you put him there for a reason. You paid him all that money for a reason. Yep. You're going to put him out there and see what he can do. And I'm going to play too. Even if I'm a little banged up, I'm going to go out there because I'm a competitor. I want to play. And I think I always felt like I gave the team the best chance to win.
Okay. I want to thank both of you for the shortest Titans analysis of the season. Watson, I know you're going to hang with us, and I really appreciate that. Looking forward to the conversation that's about to happen, because after it's over, you're going to realize this whole collaboration thing has been a bunch of BS that's been fed to us, and truthfully, there hadn't been much. Stay tuned.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Now to what is the water cooler talk all over this city, and that is the emerging question marks about Mike Vrabel's future as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Terry McCormick rejoins us from Main Street Media. Watson Brown is on from Cookeville by phone. Terry, here's a little bit of what we've learned in the last 18 hours. A couple of Mike Vrabel's friends have privately indicated real concern about where all of this is headed. And both have cited Amy Strunk's non-appearance yesterday on the field as a bad sign in this deal. Take that a little bit further.
Well, she's down there most every game, home game anyway, down on the field, greeting fans that have access passes and things like that, and talking with Vrabel, talking with Carthon. Yesterday, my photographer was told to look for her and find a picture of her, but she was not down on the field during the pregame time. And then so that kind of tells you that a little different situation yesterday. And then Mike Vrabel came in to his press conference, and even after the win, he kind of, was a little bit subdued almost, it felt like, in his press conference, even after the big send-off for Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill, it felt like.
One of the things that has emerged as the first rumblings of all of this several weeks ago came out of the Boston area, that there was a rift between Rand Carthon and Vrabel. And we now know that part of it may have started from the fact that Carthon was not who Vrabel wanted. It was Ryan Cowden, who at the time was the interim GM.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, because once Cowden took over the final month of the season, you start to see lots of wheelings and dealings, some transactions that took place, bringing guys in. Of course, they had a lot of injuries and things like that as they had the previous year. But Cowden did make a lot of moves in a short amount of time in that role. So I'm presuming that it was done with the blessings of Mike Vrabel. Then obviously when Rand Carthon was brought in and hired as the new general manager, Ryan Cowden did not want to stay in his position, and not sure he had the opportunity to go back to being the assistant GM, as Chad Brinker and Anthony Robinson were brought in to fill those roles. So Cowden moved on.
You found it strange that there is no Vrabel into the season talk, at least not yet.
Yeah, we've been told that Vrabel will be made available later in the week. That's the first time that I can ever remember in covering this team that the head coach was not available on locker cleanout day. And also, and this is probably a better question for Kelly and for Watson, but I also found it unusual that there was no team meeting today with the players as they departed for the offseason. Had one player to tell me that everybody kind of said their peace yesterday in the locker room and that there was no meeting today with the players before they headed out for the offseason, which I find that a little unusual given that that's kind of protocol most times with teams before a team wraps up its season.
Watson, I'll let you start that, and then we'll go to Kelly.
Well, first thing I'd say is I think the most important thing in the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, and it's not what I dealt with in college. In college, I was an AD and a coach, and the coach didn't have to have the AD. The AD didn't help make the decisions. He might help him get some things or do this or that, but he wasn't in the decision-making process. And then to me, in the like it is in professional football, I think those two guys are brothers. I've said this to y'all before on the air, and if that's not working, I don't know how in the world you can put a football team together. And if those two aren't together on everything and talking through everything, and there might be a little disagreement here and there, but it's nothing that's going to be a big thing to separate you in some way. And so that really, it bothers me. And I see the poor NFL teams, and Kelly, you can comment on this, you played in it. The poor NFL teams, they're not together, and it doesn't work very well. And the second thing to me is that if you're trying to do it yourself like Belichick, I think that would be really hard because you're the one telling the player how much money he's going to make, and that gets a little personal to me. And I just don't think coach and the GM can do that. So I think there is an issue. I've seen it in Mike's eyes a little bit, and I saw it yesterday. George, I have not seen Mike Vrabel that emotional in any game and since he's been coaching here. And like I said, you and I, we've been doing this together for 4 years, and I have not seen Mike that emotional, hugging players, doing different things like he did. It was like it was his last game. But I think if there is a rift between your GM and the coach and they're not seeing eye to eye, you got no chance. And if I'm an owner, I got to fix that quick.
Kelly?
George, coach is absolutely right. I mean, Terry too. I mean, you have to work together. And I was in a situation when I went to the Browns that, Dwight Clark was he was the GM, but they just he and the head coach, they just did not see eye to eye. And then the head coach won out, and he got his own guy in, and they dismantled the whole deal. And but you have to be on the same page, George. There's just no way around that. And you hope if you're the owner like Amy Strunk, if you just hope that they get together. But she made that hire. I mean, Mike Vrabel's been here. She made that hire, and he may have been upset, but he's not the one writing the check. She is. And with her not going out on the field, that does signify something to me if she's always doing that. And if you're Rand Carthon, I mean, you want – if you can get along with Mike Vrabel and y'all can see eye to eye, then things can move smoothly. But if things start going bad, I'm the GM. I kind of want my own guy. And that kind of seems what it feels that way to me right now. He's come into a situation where he may not like what's going on, and he wants to get his own guy. And that's his prerogative because that's what he was hired to do.
Terry, going into this relationship between Vrabel and Carthon, it was clear that Vrabel had the upper hand, a lot of sweet talk of Miss Amy, and that kind of thing. But then there were two decisions that, for me, I started to say, wait a minute, this isn't Vrabel. The benching of Ryan Tannehill, I don't believe for a minute that was a Vrabel decision, and I would stake my life on the firing of the special teams coach was absolutely not Vrabel.
Yeah, I think you're probably onto something there, George. Vrabel is not one to do a lot of knee-jerk reactions and that sort of thing. So even with the disaster that happened with Ryan Stonehouse and the block punt and the injury in that game against the Colts, there was discussion amongst reporters in the press box that we did not believe that Craig Aukerman would be fired immediately, because you go back to last year, and after the DUI arrest of Todd Downing, he was not fired immediately by Mike Vrabel. He got to stay on and finish out the year, and then was dismissed when some other coaches were also let go. So for Craig Aukerman to be fired like that in the middle of a season, it certainly does seem like it might have Amy Adams Strunk's fingerprints on that, as opposed to Mike Vrabel's, because the last time somebody was fired in season, it was John Robinson after that embarrassing performance where A.J. Brown just, stuck it to him up in Philadelphia just months after he was traded.
Watson, I don't think it takes a Phi Beta Kappa to link what's going on here to New England. Vrabel clearly is the popular choice up there to replace Belichick. But right now, we don't have any answers. And I think that's part of the reason you're seeing this Tennessee two-step, let me say that again, Tennessee two-step tap dance that's going on right now, because until New England figures their thing out, I don't think anybody down here knows what to do.
Well, I agree 100%, and I do think New England is tied to this, even though I'm not sure it's just New England. The higher-ups of the Titans have got to decide. Mike can't leave because he's under contract, so it's going to have to come from the bosses to either trade him out or let him go or whatever. And so the ball's in their court. And I do think they're waiting to see what kind of goes on with the Patriots. And I know they would think the first call would be to Nashville if Belichick's gone. I just know they know that. Any of us that's got any sense know that. He is so popular back that way. And remember now, he is a Belichick guy. Every decisions I've made in my coaching career, Terry, George, Kelly, were from people I learned from. And from Pat Dye, from Jackie Sherrill, from Gary Gibbs, from whoever, from George McIntyre. What I learned from other people is how I've made decisions and philosophies that I wanted to go with, and as a coach. And he is a Belichick guy, and I think he does a lot of things the Belichick way. I don't think Mike George is a yes guy. I don't think he's going to be one to go in the corner and say, okay, tell me what you want me to do. I can't see that. And I also know from my own experiences sometimes when you bring a new guy in that didn't hire you, and he's walking in the door patting his chest, which everybody does, and they feel good and they're ready to roll and make their decisions, and you're there and there wasn't any connection to that guy whatsoever, it very seldom ends up working out. Unless it's somebody like a Saban that's so established you can't touch. But it usually does not work out. And I'm not so sure all these little pieces are coming together, George, here at the last minute. And if that wasn't Mike's choice, that alone would start the thing. If Mike wasn't fully on board, interviewed him, man, this is the guy, I promise you it started out under tough times right out the gate, and then some of these decisions start coming. I just think there's a point in time it kind of gets personal, and once it gets to that, George and Terry, it's hard to keep it going.
Kelly, go wherever you want to here.
Well, I mean, I can't say. I mean, Coach just said it. I mean, there's just no even ground there. I mean, they have to be on the same page. And when Vrabel, because you know that Rand Carthon knew that Vrabel tried to get the other guy, so there's obviously already some tension there coming into it. And then, like I said, I mean, you're going to give if you're the new GM coming in, you're going to give him a little bit of rope. You're going to see how he does things, and you're going to see if you like it or not. And then when there's things that go down, that you don't agree with and you don't like, that's your job. That's why she hired you. She hired you to make decisions like that. And, it's not a good thing when you go 6-11. That's just part of the business. And, it kind of sucks, but both those guys have to be on the same page, George. And when it gets awry, it's hard to bring it back. And it seems like that's where that's going right now. It seems like Rand Carthon wants to get his guy, somebody that he knows and trusts. And, I think y'all are right about the New England situation. I think that's probably where, that's probably the first choice that Robert Kraft is going to make if he does something. But, I can see Robert Kraft saying, and I've told y'all this about the Patriot way. Bill Belichick is older. That's the Patriot way. Well, I don't think Mike Vrabel is probably as bad as Bill Belichick is with the Patriot way, but he grew up in that system. He learned from that system. He's got obviously a lot of those characteristics that obviously Robert Kraft wants. And, that may be where they're going. I don't know, but it just seems like there's something going on. And that's what Rand Carthon was brought in to do, to build this thing. And if Mike Vrabel fits in it, that's great. If we can get along, that's great. But it seems like they're not.
Terry, it seems to me that when this stuff started to leak out of Boston several weeks ago, that they needed to really squash this and say it's total BS. What I think happened is that Vrabel gave kind of a lukewarm, whatever, and Carthon hid in his witness protection program, which he's been doing now for months. And to me, that fostered a lot of suspicion that you never see them together, you never hear from them. There's something going on here.
Yeah, it certainly does seem to reek of that. Whether this rift is as wide a gulf as some people seem to think, who knows? Only Vrabel and Carthon probably can answer that question and answer it honestly. But this stuff that's been coming out of the Boston area seems to have been festering now ever since Vrabel went up there, got his induction into the Patriots Hall of Fame during the Titans bye week, and then was seen yucking it up in the box with Robert Kraft there at Gillette Stadium. And then it was only about a week later that a report came out, I think from Ben Volen at one of the outlets up there, saying that Vrabel would be Kraft's, quote, home run hire if they were able to find a way to get him out of Tennessee to come up. To my way of thinking, George, with this, and you guys feel free to disagree, but Vrabel really only has two options in this thing. That's if Belichick is fired and the Patriots want to trade for him while he's under contract to bring him to New England, or to tough it out and try to make something out of what he's got here in Tennessee and deal with the situation as best he can while he tries to rebuild it, because he's 13-21 over the last 2 years. And yes, there have been injuries. Yes, there have been roster misses and some things that have been beyond his control as the head coach here. But I can't imagine the Chargers or the Falcons or Washington or some of those teams trying to sell a 13-21 coach to their fan base as they make a new hire into this offseason, where Vrabel is not as known a commodity there as he would be here for what he's done previously, or in New England, where his reputation is stellar, both as a player and a coach.
Okay, Kelly, I'll start with you on this one. Terry's laid out what appear to be the options. What do you think?
Well, I'm gonna reiterate what he said. Like when he went up there for the Hall of Fame deal, you can't tell me that something wasn't discussed or something wasn't, like a certain scenario happening. You can't tell me that didn't happen. Bill's maybe getting a little older if they're up in the, what would you think about coming back? You can't tell me that did not happen. So I don't know how this is going to play out. I really don't. But I don't know. Terry's right. He hit the nail right on the head. And he would be a home run pick for those guys up there. He just went into the Hall of Fame, but it's yeah. I don't know. This is the politics of the National Football League. It happens every year. I can remember when I was playing and free agency had just started. There really wasn't much movement going on. And then once I played for 10 or 11 years, man, it's like once the season ends, you just never know what's going to happen. Guys are going to get fired. Free agents are going to come in. They're going to try to get somebody else to take your job. That's just the politics of the National Football League, George. That's just how it goes each and every year.
Watson, can this be repaired between them? Because it seems as the silence gets more and more deafening and people start looking into it, that they're connecting a lot of dots that don't look good.
Well, anything can be repaired, but to repair, both sides have to give a bunch. And I don't see any give or take anywhere. I haven't seen Carthen say a word, which to me, if they're talking about your coach maybe leaving, or if I'm the boss, I come out and say, I don't want him to leave. I want him right here. How simple would that have been? Never happened. Nothing said whatsoever, good, bad, indecent. So I'm not sure that there can be the give and take to fix this, because you may have added up 2 or 3 things that just keep festering it a little more and a little more and a little more. And Terry, to me, there is a third possibility. And that Mike he has a way. Mike just ticks everybody off enough that they just let him go. Just let him go. And knowing that they may have to, and that may be why the Patriots are holding on and not letting Belichick go, to just see if they were to fire Mike, now it would get easy. Now there's a fired coach out there. We let Bill go, or he take it. We mutually now split it off and go get Mike. And there's going to be other jobs too. And so, Mike may have, he could be this. Mike may have just ticked him off enough to where he's ready to get out himself. And he just made it so hard that they just may have to do away with him.
Terry, I think that's you.
Yeah, if I'm Amy Adams Strunk, though, and I have Mike Vrabel under contract, and I pretty much know that the New England Patriots want him, if Bill Belichick is gone, I'm playing hardball here, because you can get a draft pick. Sean Payton sat out a year and then was traded from the Saints to the Denver Broncos for like a first-round pick and a third-round pick. You're talking about a team that desperately needs a rebuild in the Titans. 2 nice picks like that could certainly accelerate that rebuild for whoever the next coach might be if you move on from Mike Vrabel. But to just cut him loose like that and not get anything for him when you had an opportunity, to me, that's very short-sighted, and that would be giving in to Mike Vrabel. Now, they may come, like Watson said, they may come to a point where they're just fed up and say, get out of here. But to me, if I'm the Titans and I'm ownership, I hold the leverage here, and I'm going to use every advantage I can in this situation, whether Mike Vrabel's my coach or whether I'm dealing him away.
Let George, let me add to that, because I think there's 5 jobs out there right now. So they're going to have to hold on to him through, let's say that's why I think they're both sitting playing cat and mouse here. It's going to be interesting to see who blinks first. And will it be the Patriots? Or are the Patriots trying to hold on and hold on and hold on to see if they let Mike go? And they blink first. And if they decide to keep Belichick, then what do you do? Now, do you let him go after all of that? Are you just going to keep him because you think you can get a draft choice, but yet nobody makes a move to come after him? So this thing is just starting to me. That's why I don't think you're going to see anything tomorrow. This may take a few days.
Kelly, the first name for me in any potential Titan search has to be Cleveland Browns defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz. You look at every place Jim has been on the defensive end, they get better. And in Cleveland, they've gotten a lot better. Now, it's easy to say, well, he's got Myles Garrett, who is as good as anybody out there, but so is Cleveland's defense, and he's helped them. And I've got to think that if something goes down, that's a name you have to pay attention to.
I think so too, George. And I just want to say something to what Terry talked about and Coach talked about too. If you're the Titans, you hold the leverage in this deal. And we've always talked about on here, it's hard to get great trade value for players. But if you're trading a coach, you're going to get some good picks. So you've got kind of the leverage if you're in that deal right there. But talking about Jim Schwartz, he was at Detroit. Detroit's a hard place to win. Dan Campbell's done a really good job up there. He's put a really good team together. But Schwartz was here. He was a consultant and he coached here as well. I think he would be at the top of the list because he's been around the league. He's obviously done a great job with my old Cleveland Browns. Man, they're arguably the best defense in the National Football League. They have, with what they've had going on at quarterback and all the Russian roulette, the roulette deal that every guy's played there. They've got guys injured. The Watson kid got hurt. Obviously, they paid him a lot of money, but now they bring in Joe Flacco, and he's kind of eased everybody's minds. He's played really well, but the consistency part of that team is the defense, and that's because of Jim Schwartz. Now, they do have some talented guys, and talked about Garrett Miles. I mean, he's one of the most impressive guys that you'll be around, but he would be at the top of the list, obviously, because he knows this place. He's been here. He's familiar with it. He knows what needs to be done here. So, yeah, I think he would be a great asset to that program.
Terry, where does the recently, as in less than 24 hours ago, fired coach of the Atlanta Falcons and former Titans offensive coordinator Arthur Smith fit into this if there's an opening?
Well, I think they would certainly consider him because he has some sort of connection to here. I'm not sure, though, that they would bring him in to be the head coach. I think if Vrabel survives this and stays in Tennessee, I could see Arthur brought back in some sort of capacity to help with the offense. I think that would be the most likely scenario. Now, the other question is this: who's making this call if Mike Vrabel leaves? Is it going to be Amy Adams Strunk hiring somebody, or is it going to be Rand Carthon hiring somebody?
It's now, collaborative.
If Rand Carthon is hiring somebody, then I think you have to look at the Shanahan tree that he came from out there in San Francisco. Maybe the guy who is the new Houston Texans offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, who has done wonders with C.J. Stroud in his rookie year. I think you'd also have to entertain the thought of a guy like that as a coaching possibility, because as much as I like Jim Schwartz and as much as I think he'd do a great job, you have to admit an offensive coach is something that there's not been a lot of around here with the Titans, and maybe it's time to move into the 21st century and go with some forward thinking.
Okay, last thing for both Watson and Kelly. Interesting point Terry's put out there. Does it need to be offense? Watson?
I think so. I just think that with the division they're in, you've got really good quarterback play, and I think the offenses are going to be good in this division. I don't think you can win this division scoring in the 20s like they've won a lot of games in the past. But I think now you're going to have to score in the 30s to win this division. Too many good quarterbacks and too many good organizations. They're making progress. So that's what I think. And if Carthon is making it, I think it will come from the Shanahan tree somewhere.
Kelly?
That's amazing that Terry just said that, because last night they put up the tree of, all those young guys that was in Washington with Mike Shanahan. You had Kyle Shanahan, you had Sean McVay, you had the LaFleur guy, and then they talked about Bobby Slowick. And that's really funny that you talked about that, because he's one of those up and coming guys. And you look at that tree, and somebody said earlier today, I was watching something, and they said, well, the Belichick guys have all left the Belichick tree, but they've come to be head coaches, and then they don't do anything. Well, you look at Mike Shanahan's tree, and you look at all these young guys, and they've been pretty successful. I mean, Sean McVay's won a Super Bowl. You look at LaFleur, what he did. Obviously, he had Aaron Rodgers, but now he's got Jordan Love, and he's still winning. They made the playoffs. I mean, you look at all these young guys, and that's kind of where I think. And my agent used to talk about this to me, George, all you guys. At some point, people think defensive side of the ball, but defense has been, Vrabel was a defensive guy. Well, now it's time that you got to hire an offensive head coach, and he puts his emphasis on the offensive side of the ball, and I think that would be a great guy to go after because he's young, he understands. They talked about him, and Watson knows this. When you're an offensive coach, the best thing you can do is go coach defense because you need to learn how they're trying to stop you, and that's what they did with Bobby Slovic. They put him on defense, and he learned that way. And Kyle Shanahan even talked about it. That's the best way to learn. And now he's an offense because he was always on the defensive side of the ball. Now he's an offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. So I think that would be a great hire if they did. If something
Terry,
did
need 30 seconds on this. We're not going to have an answer in the next 24 hours, are we?
No, it certainly doesn't look like it, barring anything crazy happening. I think this is just a situation where it's going to play out, once all the dominoes have fallen, once the cards are on the table here, especially with the Belichick situation in New England. And then, once that happens, then I think we'll know more about where Mike Vrabel stands with the Titans organization.
Terry, thanks for your input on this. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Watson, thank you as well.
Always enjoy it. Thanks, George.
Kelly, you get no thank you. You're a full-time employee.
Well, that's awesome, George. Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll go to the break, and then when we come back, headed down to Houston, not to talk about the Astros, not to talk about the Texans, although there's something to talk about there, but the national title game tonight, Michigan and Washington. Stay tuned.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Normally at this moment, we would give you stat of the day. We're going to delay that by probably about 12 minutes and instead head down to Houston, Texas, where tonight it will be the center of the sports world. National title game between the Michigan Wolverines and the Washington Huskies, both of whom are undefeated. Bill Bender, college football writer for the Sporting News, joins us from Houston. Bill, thank you for taking the time.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Do you think in the last week that there's been a little momentum of, hey, Washington is for real, and that there is more of a feeling about them than there has been?
I guess. I don't think they're really playing the underdog card, though. I think both of these teams have just proven that they deserve to be here. They're both 14-0. I don't think Michigan is going to take Washington lightly after watching what Michael Penix did in the Sugar Bowl. And in turn, I don't think – I mean, the line hasn't moved up a little bit. So, if anything, I see where you're coming from, though. I mean, to me, it's going to be a really exciting game because of that contrast of styles, and you don't know which style is going to win out until they get on the field.
Bill, last Monday night, Michael Penix's performance really caught my eye. I'm trying to think of the last time I've seen a college quarterback who threw so many, medium to long balls all right on the button. To me, it's been a long time since I've seen anybody this accurate.
Oh, he's really good, and he when he gets hot, yeah, he's really dangerous. So, I mean, that's something it's going to be the challenge for Michigan. They haven't played a quarterback like him probably since, I mean, I would have to say it would probably be C.J. Stroud. Now, in a championship game, Deshaun Watson has the record for most passing attempts with 56. We've seen Joe Burrow, 49. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Penix takes a run at that record tonight, especially if Washington can't generate a running game early in the game with Dylan Johnson, who's been banged up.
You know what else has been out there storyline-wise, and it involves Jim Harbaugh and the whole is he going to the NFL kind of stuff. I'll admit I'm impressed by the fact that while all this stuff has swirled around, it doesn't seem to affect this team at all.
No, and it hasn't all season. Not the first 3-game suspension, not the suspension before the game against Penn State where they ran the ball the entire second half, not the Ohio State game where Jim Harbaugh was absent from that, and certainly not anything leading up to Alabama. I mean, they just continue to win in people's face. I get that there's the sense that they're kind of a villain here, and they actually are, I don't want to say reveling in it. It just doesn't faze them. And I think a lot of that's because of a veteran defense, because of J.J. McCarthy, because of Blake Corum. This is a player. This team, yes, Jim Harbaugh's the head coach, but the leadership from the players is as good as I've ever seen.
By the way, do you think he is leaving?
Opinion, it feels that way. But with Harbaugh, everything's so darn unpredictable. I mean, who's to say they could win this game tonight? J.J. McCarthy could come back, and he could come back for one more run against a brutal schedule in the face of these NCAA investigations. But since you asked the question, I would say my feeling is if I was guessing where he coaches, and it's strictly a guess, that I would think he goes to the NFL. I'll be honest, though, I haven't seen how many NFL openings have popped open today. I know Washington and Atlanta. Are there any more?
Washington and Atlanta so far are it. And pay very close attention to where we're coming from because something's coming.
Okay. Well, good to know. And obviously he could be the guy that moves on but an NFL team has to take that swing. You know what I mean? And I think that's something to watch.
Kelly, say hello to Bill Bender. Bill, this is former NFL quarterback Kelly Holcomb.
Bill, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm an Ohio guy. I got a ton of buddies that are Browns fans. So
Lord,
that's awesome. How are you?
You're a Browns guy, man. That's awesome, man. I'm good. It's great to see our Brownies back in the playoffs, and they're really good, man. I hate that Deshaun Watson got injured, but seems like Joe Flacco's taking the sword, and he's got a really good defense that he's playing with.
Well, you played there, so there's a lot of excitement around the Browns. I'm actually sitting in Houston Stadium right now, and I think that's going to be a fun game between C.J. Stroud and Joe Flacco and that Browns defense. It's been so good. But, so I can't wait for Wild Card Weekend. I'm actually a Packers fan. You're gonna hate me for that, but I'm excited for that matchup against Dallas. My wife's a Dallas fan too. I don't think she's as excited as I am.
Well, that's okay. Well, I want to get back to the question, and I know he's had to field all these questions this week, but and I know that you think that he may go, but do you think that may depend on if Jim, because I played with Jim in Indianapolis, and I know Jim. I played with him for a couple of years. Do you think that if he wins this game, yeah, he's obviously going to the NFL, but if he loses this game, he may come back to try it again?
Well, I mean, you obviously played with him, so you know him better than I do, but he's unpredictable. And as you know from playing with him, he marches to his own drum, and he doesn't care what other people tell him, how other people tell him to play that drum. So to me, if he were to win a national championship, he would check that box off. If he left Michigan, even with the specter of the NCAA investigations, I don't think there's anybody here at Michigan that could say, hey, or be angry with him because he's done everything. I just think that need to chase the Super Bowl is still in his blood. And that's the ultimate prize. You've heard him talk about that. And with all the Black Monday stuff going on, I could see that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think tonight? I mean, because every game, we've talked about it on the show here, but the first time that Washington played Oregon, we said there's no way. And then the second time, for sure, there's no way. And it seems like Washington's been kind of the underdog all year. I even said that they couldn't beat Texas. But how do you see this game playing out? What's the key to the game for both teams?
Well, I mean, for Washington, they can't. The last time teams played in 2021, it's not a perfect comparison. But, I mean, Blake Corum had 171 yards and 3 touchdowns. If Blake Corum has 150 yards rushing, Michigan's going to win this football game. So they have to slow that down. Key for Michigan is just not to control the tempo and dictate the game on their terms. They didn't do that when they played TCU last year, and they got into some trouble. And if Washington can speed them up and dictate the tempo of this game, that could be trouble for the Wolverines. I know those are very broad things, but Michael Penix is really good. And these Washington receivers are really good. But, and up front, in the trenches with both teams, Washington has the Joe Moore Award-winning offensive line. Michigan won it the 2 previous years. So which team can generate some pass rush and which team can in turn land? I mean, that was a huge key for Michigan against Alabama. I wouldn't have guessed in a million years they would have had 5 sacks in that game.
Got you. So last question, man. So me being the QB, man, I like both of them. I was really kind of apprehensive about Michael Penix, man, but that guy can make some. He can make some throws. Who do you give the edge to at the quarterback position?
Well, there's 2 different styles again. I mean, if we were using a basketball analogy with these guys, like Penix is the guy that's going to take a lot more shots down the field, and he's very prolific, and all it takes is a couple. JJ, probably a little underrated, honestly, because of how efficient he is. He doesn't turn the ball over. He'll make some throws that are risky, but it's hard to go against a guy that's 26-1 as a starter, has all those leadership qualities. Honestly, you know what, Kelly? I don't know if you feel the same way. He reminds me a little bit of Harbaugh when Harbaugh played. There's a little bit of just grit to his game that doesn't show up in the stat sheet sometimes.
You're absolutely right, man. And you're absolutely right about Jim, man. Jim's all over the place. He's that guy. He was all over the place when I played with him. So good for him. He's a spitting image of his dad. I played against his dad in college when he was coaching at Western Kentucky. But you got to be for Jim, man. He's he's won everywhere he's been. He's a really good football coach, and he can motivate those guys. And the best thing I tell everybody is I think that he was, because he called plays for a long time, but then he kind of gave that away and kind of gave it to another guy. And I think that's the reason that they've taken off, because I think it's hard when you're at these Division I levels, these big schools, to be the head coach and the coordinator. And I think that's why that he's kind of gone to the heights these last couple of years of just really wearing Ohio State out and beating those guys. And I think it's because he gave total control of the offense over to somebody else, and he's just the head coach. So I wish him well, man. I hope he does well.
Bill,
Sharon Moore's. No, I got time to answer that real quick if you got a minute.
Sure, go.
Sharon Moore, if he does move on, I would count on Sharon Moore being the next coach because of that audition, because of all those things you mentioned where he handled the offensive line, handled the 3-game audition where he coached against Penn State and Ohio State. So I do think that would happen, and you're absolutely right on that. And if you guys are looking for a quick prediction, I got Michigan 35, Washington 28. I think the first team to 30 wins in this game tonight, and it will be highly entertaining.
I totally agree with you. I think
Hopefully,
it's going to be
unlike
heck of a show. Yeah. Yeah. Let's hope so. Bill, enjoy Houston. If you see John McClain from the Chronicle, tell him we said hello.
I will, and thank you so much for having me on. Let's do this again soon. Thanks so much.
No, it's the other way around. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
Bill Bender from the Sporting News, college football writer covering tonight's title game. So now do we get embarrassed?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
It's time for Stat of the Day, brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards out in
Better
Shelbyville.
not be hockey.
It's not. They're open during the week Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5 and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what Matthew's got cooked up. Tonight, Jim Harbaugh will become the second coach to ever coach in both a national title game and a Super Bowl, joining what other coach?
As a head coach in a Super Bowl?
That's what I would guess Matthew is talking about.
Okay, Kelly, what would you say we go to the break and then you and I talk about it?
I'd say so. Yes. Since you hold the red pen, George, let's do that.
I will not cheat.
Kelly, stay off the iPad, too.
I will.
I'm not going to be on the
don't do
iPad.
that.
I don't know how to use it like that, dude.
I need to think this one through. This is one we need to get.
Me too.
Tonight, Jim Harbaugh will become the second coach. Oh, put it back up there. The second coach to ever coach in both a national championship game and a Super Bowl. I already know the answer.
And I'll try to get confirmation on the head coach / assistant thing.
I already know the answer. It's got to be Jimmy Johnson.
So you want to go to the answer?
Correct.
It's Jimmy Johnson's national title game with Miami. And, well, now, wait a minute. Let me say this. Back then, it wasn't necessarily called the national title game. And so my answer is absolutely correct. Jimmy Johnson coached in national title games and a Super Bowl. So, Billy, what do you have?
It's Jimmy Johnson. Oh,
it's old Pete Carroll.
But it's also Jimmy Johnson.
It's Jimmy Johnson too. So are y'all saying? Are we saying just the national championship game? I mean, are we getting in a word fight?
Yeah, I think he's going with things like BCS.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it called back in the day?
It really wasn't called anything because if you think about it,
it was
Jimmy
just
Johnson's. It was said to be the national title game. By the way, put up what old Logan put up there because he's absolutely right.
Switzer.
Here's another one, Barry Switzer.
Barry Switzer.
Oh,
that's correct.
So you know
Matthew,
what, Kelly?
Matthew learning some history.
I am giving you and I a full point.
Yeah, that's Jimmy Johnson was the guy. I mean, all those guys they won it both. I mean, so I mean, he's
Billy,
trying to play on words, is what that's what Matthew's trying to do. He's trying to play on words right now.
Well, I don't think he did it intentionally, but now
he didn't.
Are we trying to, puff up our own resumes? We are.
Correct.
We needed the point. We've earned it.
We actually get 3 points. We actually get 3 points because Switzer, Pete Carroll, we actually get all three of them.
I agree. We're back with one person's tale of the tape of tonight's title game. And let me just say up front, I'm predicting an upset. Stay tuned. The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. I'm told we have a tad bit of breaking news. Billy, what do you got?
A top defensive coordinator is now available in the NFL. Sources say the Giants and DC Wink Martindale are parting ways. Martindale interviewed for head coaching jobs in the past, and he could get more looks as well. So we'll see.
Didn't he have to come out some time ago this season? Rumors had gotten out that he and Dable were not getting along.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure. I mean, you knew that was coming, man. I mean, I've told you this before, George, and this holds true each and every year, each and every day. When a head coach is not winning and the heat starts coming down on the head coach, Something's got to be done to somebody else. It ain't going to be done to me. And that's exactly what's happened. I mean, I knew Wink Martindale was going to he was probably going to get toasted because somebody's got to take the blame for why they played the way they did this year, and it's not the head coach.
So there it is. I'll be honest. I'm surprised today there's been as little activity at the moment as there has been. Billy, I'm assuming we have no news out of New England.
No news.
No news. Who knows if that's good news, bad news? Depends on what you're rooting for. But supposedly they were going to meet this morning. And I have thought all along, Kelly, that after 24 years, this was not going to be a meeting where Kraft looked at him and said, okay, Bill, here's your check. You're gone. There's too much past history there.
There's way too much past history for that, George. And we talked about it. It's his worst nightmare that's going off. He wish he'd just gone into the sunset being the New England Patriot. But, he wants to – I'm sure he's got a goal of being the winningest coach in NFL history. I'm sure that he thinks about that. But just like I saw something this morning, I mean, he's probably going to have to make some concessions. He's probably going to have to see if – he's been the GM, the head coach. He's been doing all that. And for me, I think that's way too much. I think that, and I think that I don't know if he was a broken guy this morning. I don't know if that's ever the case with him, but I think that he said, like, if there's things that need to happen, we'll look at it as an organization. And I think that's one of them. I think that they're probably going to try to hire a GM. Now, are you going to be on board or are you not? If you're not, then you're going to get fired. So I think that's kind of probably where the concessions are going to go.
There is a rumor out there that the Falcons have an interest in Bill Belichick.
Oh, sure. I mean, I think
absolutely
that. Yeah. I mean, look, I think every team that's got an opening is going to get all their people in a room and say, okay, let's talk about Belichick. Every last one of them, including the Titans, if there is an opening. Because there are 6 Super Bowl titles behind this guy.
But I do have to say this. I mean, the guy had the greatest quarterback ever to play the game. He took him to 9 Super Bowls. He won 6 of them. So, I mean, if you're Bill Belichick, it may be a deal where if you want to stay in New England, like, he's got to have a quarterback. I mean, they've totally ruined Mac Jones, which I liked Mac Jones. I really did. I think he's a good football player. He won a national championship for Alabama, but they totally ruined him I think with the Matt Patricia, Joe Judge deal, like you've talked about, George. I think that totally ruined his confidence. And if you're looking to get Bill Belichick, you've got to have a quarterback in place. Well, if you're looking at the Atlanta Falcons, they got Desmond Ridder. Well, wherever they pick, he's going to have a good quarterback. And if you put a good quarterback like a Caleb Williams or one of those guys like that, one of the top guys, if you draft him, well, then you can build around him, and then you can use your expertise on defense like he's always done. So, there's a lot that's going to go on in the next couple of days, but you've got to have somebody at the quarterback position that you can win with. And if you don't, you're not going to win.
I think every team is going to get in a room that has an opening to specifically discuss, are we going to make a play for him? Right. In Atlanta right now, certainly he could provide, what's the word I'm looking for? A credibility about the Falcons that they could really use right now in a city where the Braves are cat daddy.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you bring Belichick in there. We're moving on to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Then you got something.
The Falcons, by the way, have had the 8th pick in the draft 3 straight years. Yeah. It's kind of crazy how they're stuck.
I just don't know if you can get the guy that you want at the quarterback position from there. You know what I'm saying? I just don't you're going to have to make some moves. You're going to have to be willing to give up some capital. Like, I just don't know if that. I don't know. I mean, they gave Desmond Ridder a try, and maybe he's I don't know. Maybe if you put some guys around him, maybe he could be better. I don't know. I mean, I know you're shaking your head. That's a tough deal, George.
I'm not buying Desmond Ridder. Here's the thing. The Chicago Bears today are the ones sitting in the catbird seat.
Yes, they are.
Because of the trade with Carolina, they have the number 1 pick.
And now, Fields all of a sudden has worked out.
Well, but did he work out yesterday?
No, but
I mean, they've got a tough decision to make.
They do.
Because
really tough.
Because they're sitting there going, okay, if we keep him and declare that he's our guy, we can absolutely get the haul from hell for Caleb Williams. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I used to want to be a general manager in the NFL.
Yeah, not right now.
Not this time of year.
No, it's
not in that position right there, because I think Justin Fields is he's a capable guy, and he's played better. I mean, everybody was. It's funny how the perception changes of people, guys. At the beginning of the year, they were talking about how he's the franchise and all this, and then he got off to a bad start, didn't play well, they didn't win any games, and then he's kind of picked himself up here the last couple of weeks, and they were respectable and had an opportunity, to win yesterday and to kill their arch nemesis of going to the playoffs, but it didn't happen. So that's one of those tough jobs right there about what are you going to do with Justin Fields? Because if you make the wrong decision, you're still, but like if you go ahead and you give him, you give him a little bit more time. Well, if he's not the right guy, then that's 3 or 4 years that you can't get back.
We're on to Cincinnati. By the way, he looked really cold yesterday, didn't he?
Looks like he was in Antarctica.
So the story has gotten out that, of course, at the end of the game, he gives Saleh this drive-by, which looked like he went, okay, but apparently talked for like 20 minutes before the game to Aaron Rodgers, and the two of them made a beeline to each other at the end.
Oh.
How about that?
Really? Yeah. Wow.
Speaking of coaches, did y'all see Arthur Smith, how pissed he was?
Oh,
yes. That was awesome.
Here's the thing.
Who do you blame that on, Jameis Winston or Dennis Allen?
Dennis Allen admitted that they were wrong.
And Jameis Winston, on the other hand, said he was basically laughing about it, looked like. He said, well, that was a team decision. You're up 41-17.
Shannon Sharp said today that they should cut Jameis Winston for what he did. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we don't know the inside ball game on that, but like that was pretty. That was not an ethical issue yesterday. What they did at the end of the game.
So you could fry an egg on Arthur Smith at the end. Clearly, he was pissed, and he made it clear to Dennis Allen. And then a few minutes later, Arthur Blank said, when the plane lands, if you would, come to my office and bring your playbook with you.
I wonder if that was sort of the icing on the cake.
Hey, Billy, are we hearing about anything with Robert Saleh in New York? I mean, he's not on the hot seat, is he?
No, I mean, you heard some rumblings, but nothing. Of course, nothing today.
See, it would be a huge thing if Belichick talked to Aaron Rodgers like y'all talked about. He gets let go, and then he goes to the Jets, which he reneged on them like 25 years ago.
He was their coach for one day in the Bill Parcells fiasco.
That was crazy. God. And that would be funny if something like that happened, because he's got Aaron Rodgers in New York. They've got a really good defense. They got pieces to play with. They got some young guys. They got a Hall of Fame quarterback that's going to come back next year. I mean, who knows? That would be funny. That would be funny.
Joe Douglas, Jets GM, came out and said that he is the right man for the job. He's the right coach.
Until he starts 1-5 next year.
Then he won't.
Then he suddenly won't be. I've made fun on the Rand Carthon stuff that he's been in the witness protection program. Kelly, do you believe he should have been more visible?
Told you, George, I don't like all the teams that I was with. The GM wasn't visible either. I mean, he was behind the scenes. I don't know I don't know what we're wanting out of him, but when I went to Buffalo and Tom Donahoe he was never in the spotlight. The guys like Carmen Policy was at Cleveland when I was there, and then it became Pete Garcia, and Pete Garcia was never in the limelight. I've never been around like Bill Tobin when I was in Indianapolis. He was like. I don't know what we're wanting, but I just, that's not the GM is like he talks during draft time. He talks about all that stuff. Like in the off season, that's when you're going to get GMs. During the season, most of the guys that are around let the head coach handle all that stuff.
Okay, here's where I'm coming from, though.
Yeah.
Story comes out of the Boston area that there's a rift between Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
Okay, we now fully believe in Nashville, Tennessee, that story was accurate.
Yeah.
Now, could Rand Carthon have helped the deal and come out fairly soon thereafter and said, look, I want to set the record straight. This is BS. It's not true.
Yeah, he could have, but like what I don't know if that does anything. I don't think, when you're hearing, allegations or rumors of things going on. I mean, I don't think like when I played, people did, we always kept things in a house and it was always noise outside and we didn't really, hey, people are going to say things, they're going to try to sensationalize things, but we know what the true deal is. You don't even have to get into that with reporters. Don't even accommodate those guys with those questions. Don't even answer those questions because it's neither here nor there what's going on. We know what's going on. That's kind of the way I perceive that.
Okay,
stuff.
but this is an era where we have these things.
I
It's not
agree.
a fax machine or that thing you cranked up the teletype, which would give you the news 3 days later.
But he's, you're with Mike Vrabel, who doesn't give you much anyway. You're like most organizations are not going to give you much anyway. They're going to tell you what you're asking. They're going to be vague on questions, but that's not Rand Carthon's job to come out and make the media like that's not his deal. His deal is to make the Tennessee Titans better.
No, but it might have quieted all this down where it never would have gotten to this.
He may not have wanted to quieten it down. I don't know.
Well, that's an interesting point you're bringing up. Because clearly it seems like more than a coincidence that Vrabel goes up to the Hall of Fame ceremony, kind of a lovey-dovey, everything is beautiful thing, and a week later, a story gets out. Now, I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying it is an interesting coincidence, and you're bringing up a different spin on this, which is, hell, maybe both of them wanted it out there.
Yeah, I mean, that could be the case. Who knows what's in their minds? I don't know, but that is kind of a strange situation, George, because normally when you hire a GM, I mean, you've started over and he's going to get to hire the coach that he wants. And when she let the GM go, I mean, the coach was already there. So she obviously probably told him, well, you got Mike Vrabel. I like Mike Vrabel. We're going to keep him. But then, you're hiring me for something, and Mike Vrabel is not my guy. So I'm sure he's going up telling her he's not really what I think. Me and him are on two different spectrums about thinking of things. And that seems like where this is going, George. To me, it's happened so fast. It's happened quick. You obviously said they haven't talked. They don't. You have to be on mesh together. You have to be online together when you're looking at players. And, he's not Mike Vrabel. He didn't want him. And then obviously Rand Carthon is having a problem with Mike Vrabel. So I can see this thing splitting and going off and Rand Carthon hiring his own guy.
Here's the one thing I would fire back with, though, Kelly. When Rand Carthon got here, he made it clear media-wise that he was here to help and support Mike Vrabel. I am here to collaborate. Good God, how many times they use collaborate? Okay, collaborate. Mike's going to tell me the things he needs, and I'm going to go out and get them. Okay? maybe we're all making up stuff, although I don't think so. It sure doesn't seem like collaboration right now doesn't feel like the big word, does it?
Well, I mean, he's going. What else is he supposed to do though when he comes in here? That's the company line. You're going to give the company line. Mike Vrabel's been here for. Was this his 8th year? Is that how long he's been here?
Not quite.
I don't think it's. Is it that long?
Because Derek's been here. This was Derek's 8th year.
Oh, 8th year. Maybe that's what I was thinking. Maybe that was maybe what is it? 5 years?
Like 5, maybe 6 for Vrabel. Something
Okay,
like that.
all right. Well, he's going to say the company line, George, because he's coming in to a situation where you're already got a coach, so he's got to say the company line until he can't say the company line anymore.
Let me ask you one last thing. We'll go to the break, and then we'll do tail of the tape and plaster bet.
Well, we've got lines out for the wild card weekend as well. If you want to run through some of those,
would you like me to tell you what they are?
You've memorized them, or try to guess?
Totally.
Jimmy the Greek.
You want to get? Y'all want to guess them?
Sure.
Jimmy the Greek.
Browns Texans.
Cleveland 2.5.
Yep.
Cleveland's getting that one.
Dolphins at Chiefs.
Chiefs 3.5.
Correct.
How could I get all these?
Steelers at Bills.
Buffalo 10.
Yep.
Oh.
Packers
10?
10.
10. That seems a little much.
Packers at Cowboys.
Cowboys 7.
7.5. Cowboys.
Oh wow.
7 with a hook.
Yep. And then Rams at Lions. Sunday night.
Detroit 4.
Detroit 3.5.
Okay.
And then Eagles Bucks Monday night in Tampa.
Can you say dumpster fire? They're favored in that game
by 3.
I wouldn't favor them right now over anybody.
It reminds me of Brady hosting a game in that. Didn't they host that game in the wild card and they ended up winning that?
I'm telling you, internally this week, there's some puckered up people in that Eagles office.
Oh,
AJ Brown.
Man.
AJ Brown is right in the middle of it.
What's going on with Nick Sirianni, man? They're talking about firing this dude. He went to the Super Bowl last year.
They got a lot of personalities, a lot of ego in that locker room.
10-1 seems like about 3 months ago in Philly.
How about Rams Lions? That quarterback matchup.
Oh, I love that.
Both quarterbacks betrayed by their team, by the opponent.
Well, I don't think they were.
Not betrayed, but
Matthew Stafford requested the trade.
That's true.
And Detroit said, "You've earned."
So they're not going to be booing him.
Oh, good Lord, no.
Yeah.
In fact, I would expect beforehand a tearful tribute to Matthew Stafford. That's how they feel about him.
That might be the best atmosphere all weekend.
I don't think Kelly likes that.
Yeah, I don't know about that, George. I mean, I know that
they're going to do it the Predator way.
He had a lot of bad times there. He played really well. He got beat up, and they obviously love him. But this is a playoff game. I just don't see them rolling out the red carpet for him.
They'll do it before the anthem.
Okay.
By the end, there won't be a dry in the house.
And then you got Hutchinson coming after him.
After the break, we'll have Tale of the Tape, which coincides with Plaster Bet of the Day. It's National Title Day. Enjoy. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Okay, we got a national title game tonight that is starting to get a lot of attention, and I think a lot of people are starting to say, maybe not so fast on Michigan, even though the line's gone up. That surprises me that the line has gone up. Let's do a little tale of the tape. Kelly, you tell me where you disagree. I put the home team right in the middle because it is neutral site in Houston.
I agree.
I'm guessing Michigan has a few more than Washington, but could be wrong.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I mean, Washington was louder, I thought, in that Texas game than a lot of people anticipated, even though Texas had more people. But, yeah, this feels a little bit more like it'll be closer to even.
So Michigan gets the clear nod in the running game. Helen Keller saw that one.
Especially because Washington's Dylan Johnson is, I don't know if he's been officially listed as questionable, but he's definitely hurt. So
I agree.
The passing game goes to Washington. Mm-hmm. By the way, Kelly, are you of the opinion that they'll throw it 50 times?
I don't know if they'll throw it 50 times. Normally, when you throw it that many times, you don't win games.
Right.
I don't know if it'll be 50 times, but they're going to throw it a bunch because Michael Penix is really good. I mean, he started out his career at Indiana, and he had the injury bug there. But, man, they put – when he transferred, they put people around him. They've got him a really good offensive line that can protect him. And he's got some really good receivers. He's got some dudes outside. So I was really impressed in that Texas game, man. He was threading some throws in there that pros do.
If they do throw it 50 times, I think you're looking at a Washington win because that means they got a lot of possessions, and Michigan doesn't want them.
That's correct. You're right about that. If you look at the history of the game, like when I threw the ball a bunch of times when I was with the Browns, of course we sucked, but we always lost.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm like Bill Bender, though. If Michigan has 150 yards running, That means they're controlling the game, controlling the clock. They will win the game.
Checkmark defensively goes to Michigan. No big surprise
Correct.
there.
Right.
Kicking game slightly to Washington. Now to the intangibles. Let's start with Washington. I think that they have relished being in the role of sticking it up our you-know-whats. The whole country was on Oregon in game 2 of those two teams.
Yeah.
And what they do, they came out and dominated. They have been slighted. And look, I'm as guilty as anybody. I hadn't bought into Washington for a long time, but I saw them from the beginning of the third quarter to the middle of the fourth quarter totally dominate Texas. Texas was damn lucky to have a chance at the end to win it. And then I thought they had 4 crappy play calls from 1st and 10 at the 12. The intangible with Michigan, huh?
It's a double post. That's what they should have run. Double post. That's
right.
how you beat corners coverage.
McElroy was saying too.
Okay, the intangible for Michigan, it seems to me, is Harbaugh. Okay, do the players mount a let's win one to send him out? I don't know. There's just something about him and their whole positivity that seems to have worked for them. But it's not going to work tonight. Washington in an upset, 28-24. Now, one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to look like the smartest guy going tomorrow, or I'm going to look like a total fool.
Well, I say
that's not hard, George.
I don't know about
Kelly.
you, Kelly, but if it's low scoring, I don't see Washington winning. Like that
Yeah, I don't think so
28-24.
either.
28-24 feels like a low scoring game that Michigan wins and ultimately
Okay,
controls.
fine. Put it 38-34.
That I think that from my perspective would be a little bit better because that means Washington's getting possessions and they're scoring a lot.
Here's what I do know. This guy is deadly accurate.
He can play.
If he
can play, George. I've always kind of, you know, he and Bo Nix played really well too this year. He went out to the Pac-12, obviously. I hadn't really watched Michael Penix. He's a lefty. I just thought, I don't know, he throws the ball sidearm, but the other day, some of those throws he made, man, golly, and some of the plays that he made, some of the plays he made in the first Oregon game, and then after we said that they can't beat Oregon twice, he had to make the play at the end of the game to seal the deal for them, and he did it throwing the football. The guy's pretty precision. I mean, he can throw that ball with precision. So I think you're right. I think they've been slighted the whole year. Everybody said they're underdogs, and I think they got a huge chip on their shoulder. And I think nobody in the country thinks they can beat Michigan except them. And I'm just hoping for a good game. We don't need to see a 66-point game like we did last year. So we just want a good football game. You know, I talked to one of my buddies that used to coach up there with Michigan, and he said Harbaugh has totally changed the culture of that place. He's like all the young men, they go to class and then they want to come to the facility. They're watching film, they're working out, they're hanging out. He's built a team atmosphere, a family type atmosphere there. And I don't know. I'm just hoping for a good game. We'll see.
Will Connor Stallions be at the game tonight?
Yes, he'll be up in the nosebleeds with some binoculars and a walkie-talkie.
Okay, well, that was nice. Let's see. Yes, go ahead.
All right.
Don't you have something to read there?
I do. It's time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. Let's take a look at what happened over the weekend.
Oh, gosh, I'd forgotten about the weekend.
Yeah.
A successful weekend.
3-2.
Successful.
That Patriots pick was awful.
Yeah.
It turned out to be bad.
They could have played till midnight. They weren't going to score.
Yeah, but that was a good bet on your part because they hadn't beaten the Patriots in 15 times.
Right.
I gotta go
See,
with you.
I thought they would be motivated to take Bill out as a winner, but I think the team, we're on to Cincinnati.
He might have been motivated to go the other way, George.
You might be right.
What in the world's happening to the Dolphins? I mean, what did they not have anybody else other than Tyreek Hill? They threw the ball to him about 30 times last night.
Well, Jalen Waddle's hurt.
That's true.
And that's hurting them.
That's hurting them because you can't just – I mean, when you got Jalen Waddle out there that can run just as fast as Tyreek Hill, I mean, you can't – I mean, you got to figure out which one you're going to cover here, you know? So that's a big just like when Deebo Samuel went out for San Francisco, they lost 3 straight games. I mean, that's huge, guys.
So having that second receiver is just as important as having just a one. You know, you can have a one,
absolutely,
but you got to have that too.
Listen, I don't pretend to know where we're going tomorrow with the show. Obviously, we'll have some recap of the national title, no matter who wins it. But let's just say the rest of it is very fluid because who knows where this whole Vrabel, Titans, New England, we're moving on to Cincinnati, where that story's going.
Does something happen tomorrow? I mean,
personally, I don't think so.
This week?
Yeah. This is going to be a drawn-out process, but it could. Who knows, though? We don't know. I mean, it could end tonight, or it could end tomorrow, or it could go on for weeks.
During the national title, maybe they want to put a little news dump.
I would ask him not to do it tomorrow night during the Preds game. Kelly, behave.
See y'all.
Billy, this is the single largest watched show of ours live that we have ever had.
5,147 viewers on Twitter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You got it.
See you tomorrow.
See ya.
See ya.